Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yesterday we were talking about division of labor, specialization, and money. So I wrote some of the characteristics of money: acceptable, durable. Third one is portable. Fourth one, that is divisible. And fifth one, that it should be stable. And sixth one, it is scarce. So anything which is used as money as a medium of exchange, it should have these 6 characteristics. Some of the books are saying it should also be recognizable. It should be recognized by people that it is a money. And we know if someone gives us a wrong piece of paper and says that this is money, we do not accept it because we recognize that what is money. So first of all, people should recognize their money and it should be acceptable as well by the people. If first characteristic is not fulfilled by anything, then it cannot perform the functions of money. Like check is not accepted by many of the sellers, so it cannot be used as money. It is only representing money. If the person who is issuing that check, if he is having enough amount in his account to make the payments, then it will become money. Durability means money is having its life. Like currency notes, they are printed by the central bank of a country. They are given a certain life. Like after 2 years, 3 years, they will be pirated and then new notes will be issued by the central bank. Okay, the most durable currency note of the world is Malaysian currency, that is ringgit. Ringgits, they are the most durable currency notes because they are coated with thin lamination. We are having the durability characteristic. Another characteristic, that is portable, that anything which is used as money, it should not be bulky, that it should not be moved from one place to another. So we need to make the placements from one place to another, so it should have the portability. In the history, cow was also used as money and it was difficult to make the movement of cow from one place to another in that time. So we make the size of the money in such a way that it should be portable easily from one place to another. What do we mean by divisibility? That it should be divided into smaller units, like we have the largest currency note in our country, that is about 5,000, then 1,000 and 500, 100 and 50 and so on. These are the divisions of money. If we want to buy a thing which is having a price of 500 or 100, we should not be using the largest form of money, largest note of this money, and there are no smaller denominations, then the exchange of goods will become difficult. So every country is having smaller denominations. If you see the largest note in United Kingdom, that is 50 pounds. In USA, it is $100, the largest note. As the currencies are becoming weaker, their notes denominations are increasing, like 5,000, 10,000. It shows that this is a weaker currency. So a currency or a note which is showing the smaller denominations, that is called, it is divisible into smaller parts, into coins, into different currency notes. And what do we mean by stability? We know that the value of money should remain stable. How it should remain stable? You know, when exchange rate is fluctuating day by day, like we are having dollar value in terms of rupees at 160 rupees, if it changes by tomorrow and by next day tomorrow, we say it is unstable form of money. So in order to make the transactions, the value of money should remain stable, otherwise prices will also be fluctuating. And due to the fluctuation of prices, we will not be having a smooth running of the economic activities of the country. Every time the real income, the real purchasing power of money will be changing. What do you mean by scarce? That it should be limited in supply, then people will be working hard to get money. They are rewarded as they are performing their works in the production units or the different factors of production. They are used in the production units, then they are rewarded in the form of money. If plenty of money is available, then it will be losing its value. In order to keep its value higher, it should be scarce, and people will be trying to get it. Now, I gave you the example of different types of money. What is the currency notes? Checks are called money. The currency notes and coins, notes plus coins, they are the form of money which are frequently used. Checks are also used by the business people in order to make the payments. There can be open check and crossed check. So if amount is present in the issuing person's account, then check will be used. If it is bounced again and again, people are not accepting the checks because they are unacceptable. The issuing account is not having enough amount of money in that account. So therefore, checks cannot be used as most frequently form of money. Whereas nowadays we are having debit cards. This is called a plastic money. Debit card and credit cards, the most durable. They have the life of 5 years or more than that, or 3 years. So we are having the debit cards. Electronically, money will be transferred from our account to another account, or credit cards. This is a small type of short-term loan in which banks are giving a short-term loan to the people in order to make their payments to the people from where we are buying the goods, to the sellers. So we are nowadays having electronic money. We are using cellular companies in order to make the payments. They are also opening the accounts. So they are also performing the banking. So cellular companies like Ufone, Mobilink, they are also giving us some type of facility to make the electronic payments. Nowadays, we are having more form of digital banking, so which is using the electronic money in order to make different types of payments. So there can be different types, and as the forms of money are increasing, it is showing that more transactions are taking place, more money is involved in economic growth of the country. So it is attracting more consumerism to buy more goods and services, which will be increasing the trading activities, and as a result, economic growth will be taking place. Now, what are the functions of money? This is my topic. There are 4 functions of money. First function, which is its definition as well, money is a medium of exchange. It is used to exchange the goods and services. Like if we want to buy a computer, we want to buy a cell phone, so what happens? We make the payment in order to buy those goods. In other words, we are exchanging money with those goods or services. So money is used as a medium of exchange. This is the first function. Whenever you buy a good or service, you make payment in order to buy that. So it is called a single medium of exchange. Second is measure of value. The second function of money will be the measure of value, or we say it is also called a unit of account. Like we measure the value of everything in terms of money. What is the price of a book? What is the price of cell phone? What is the price of a computer? Or what is the fee structure of your A-level class? We all these things measure in terms of money. It gives value to the goods and services. So we measure the value of anything, any good or service in terms of money. Usually we measure it in terms of the prices of the goods. So it is used, money is used as a measuring rod, a measuring value instrument in which we measure the value of everything. What is the price of a house? What is the price of a cell phone? What is your fee structure? What is my salary? What is the profit of a business? All these things. What is the cost of production? So all these things are measured in terms of money. So it is used as measure of value. This is the second function. First function is about it is medium of exchange. Second is the measure of value. Now I come towards the third function of money, that is called store of value. The third function of money will be called store of value. If you save money with a banking account, so you are storing its value, it will be bearing interest after the completion of 1 year. I explained this function of money by using another example, like if you buy a car or if you buy a house or you buy gold, all right? So your money is stored in the form of a car, in the form of a house, in the form of gold. If you sell these assets, these valuable assets after some time, your money will be restored along with its return. Okay? So money can be used as a store of value, store of wealth. Your money can be stored in the form of your wealth. And wealth is what? One thing we say income. Income is the flow of earning that every month we receive the salary, that is our income. And when we store it in the form of asset, in the form of stock, in the form of saving accounts, that will become our wealth. Wealth is the stock of earning, whereas income is the flow of earning. So when we store our income in the form of these assets, where value is growing with future time, we say this function of money is called store of value. If you buy the bonds, if you buy the shares, if you buy anything where the value will be growing in future, so that means you have stored your money in the form of those assets. So if you sell them out after a year, after 2 years, 10 years, your money will be restored with its return. All right? Even in the form of interest or in the form of dividends or in the form of other rewards paid by the stored wealth. Now, the last function of money is means of deferred payment. Means of deferred payments. What do you mean by this thing? Like if someone has borrowed money from a bank, bank has extended a loan to the people, to the borrowers, to the firms, to the individuals, in which form his debt or loan will be settled. That is the money which is going to settle all types of deferred payment. Deferred payment means if we are buying something on installment from any of the shop in the market, so that is called a trade on deferred payment or installed or credit buying, that is called. So in which form your payments will be accepted to the sellers, that is in the form of money. If you have purchased a television, a smart TV from Afzal Electronics or anywhere, and he asks you to make the payment in future dates along with installments, so he is asking you to make the payment. And if you are unable to make payment in terms of money and you ask the seller, okay, have these chairs as a mode of payment, he may not accept. Okay, and he should definitely not be accepting the chairs as a payment of a television. So we say the debts of the individuals, the debts of businesses and the nations. What do we say? Our national debt, if we have borrowed money from World Bank or IMF, all those debts, the deferred payments in the form of debts, they will be settled in the form of money. Whatever the agreed ratios are there about the markups, that is a separate thing. But anything which is borrowed, which is a deferred payment of individuals, of businesses, or the nations, that will be settled in the form of money along with interest if it is applied on that amount. So it gives money a legal tender. It gives money a legal tender. What do we mean by a legal tender? It means if someone has borrowed money and he did not pay back to the bank or the issuing institution, then that bank can sue the person to the court of the country. Okay. So a bank who has lent money to the business, to the individual, and that business is unable to settle the debt within the given time period, then bank can sue that business or individual into the court that this person borrowed money from me and did not return. So it gives money a legal tender that on which behalf you are making a court case in a country. So that gives money a legal tender, that it is a legal document of a country as far as it should be made, the payments to the people. If someone is unable to make the payment, then he should be sued in the court. That is the last function of money which is performed. So we say there are four functions. First of all, medium of exchange. The money can be used to exchange the goods and services with it. Measure of value. How do we measure the value of one thing in terms of money? This is the only measuring rod in the market, that what is the price of a good, what is the price of an ornament. So everything is measured, their prices are measured in terms of money. And what do we mean by store of value? That wealth of the people, wealth of the businesses, wealth of the nations, they can be stored in the form of money, okay, in their stocks. And means of deferred payment means all types of debts, they will be settled in the form of money. And it gives money a legal tender, that in the court cases it can be used that this person borrowed and did not make the payment to the bank or the issuing authority. That's why we say this is called a legal tender. Now the question is, why do people demand money? What are the reasons that people are demanding money or holding money? Okay. Demand of money is separate from its function. Demand of money. Why do you demand money? Demand of money. There are three main reasons. One is called transactionary demand. Transactionary demand of money. In order to make the daily transactions, people hold money with them. They are not saving with the saving accounts all of the money they have earned, but they keep some of the money in order to buy different goods and services. That is called transactionary demand. And it depends upon the level of income earned by the people and the frequency of income they have earned. Frequency means what? How frequently people are earning their income. Like if we say one of the worker, he is on daily wages. So by the end of the day, he receives his wage, whatever is decided. So in a month, he receives 26 days, the daily wages. So his frequency is that after every 24 hours, he will be receiving his wage. All right. Sometimes we are hiring the workers, they are paid weekly wages. After every 7 days, after a week, he will be receiving his income. So within months, his frequency of earning income is 4. Whereas the salaried people, they are paid their salaries after a month. So their frequency of earning is 1 in a 1 month. So we say how much income people are earning and what is their frequency of earning. If person receives income by the end of the month, it does not mean he will spend all his income on the very first day he receives. The reason is behind, he knows that he has to make the transactions out of this income for the next 30 days. After the completion of 30 days, he will receive another amount of income. So his transactions will be based upon the income received and how frequently he or she is receiving the income. So that will make the transactionary demand of money, how people use money in order to make daily transactions out of their incomes. Okay. The second form of money, that is called precautionary demand. What do we mean by precautionary demand? Every one of us is holding money more than the transactions. Why do we hold more than the transactionary demand of money? The reason is the uncertain situations can arise at any time with anyone. Okay, so for those uncertain situations, for certain precautions, people are holding money as well. Like if we come out of the home, what happens? We keep some idle cash with us, some active cash with us, that any type of uncertainties will be fulfilled out of that money. Sometimes it happens, a person is driving and his car is becoming damaged. So he needs the quick repairment, that is an urgent need. So if he is having certain precautionary holding of money, then he can fulfill that demand of car repair. All right. So at any time, people will be requiring to hold money for certain types of precautions which are uncertain. Transactions are certain. We need to buy the goods. We know we are going to buy sugar, we are going to buy mutton, we are going to buy different things. We know these things. But precautionary holding, that is for contingencies. For uncertain situations, people are also holding money. So these two demands of money are called active balance. That people should hold them, whatever the rate of interest is there. Even the rate of interest is 10%, 7%. People are not saving them in their saving accounts because they make the transactions and they need money for certain types of precautionary motives. So they are holding this money which is independent of the rate of interest, but it depends upon the level of income earned and the frequency of income earned. Now the third motive, if a person has fulfilled all his transactions, he is having more amount of money for precautions and still he is having idle cash. So that idle cash will be used for speculation. Speculative demand. What do you mean by speculative demand? Idle cash does not pay us anything. If it remains with us for a year or more than that, suppose one person is holding 10 millions of rupees, okay, for a whole year in his home, not in a saving account, but in his safe at home. Okay, so that will remain 10 million after a year. It is not growing in its value. So if he buys the shares, if he buys the bonds, if he keeps that money in a saving account, that will bear interest, that will bear return on that. That is called speculation. Speculation means sattebazi. How? When interest rate on saving accounts on bonds that is increasing, people are not holding idle cash with them, but they will hold those assets where returns are positive. That is called speculation. Okay, so when interest rate is falling, they can buy the properties where returns are higher. They can buy anything where returns are positive and they are higher than money, than idle cash. So whatever the idle money is present, this is called idle balance. It is more than the needs of transactions and precautions. That is why people are using them to save in that form where we say the returns or rate of interest is high. So we say the demand of money that is downward sloping. When interest rate is higher, people are holding less money with them and they are keeping that money in the saving account. All right. So when interest rate on saving account is higher, people are saving their money in the saving account rather to keep that idle cash with them which bears nothing. And when rate of interest is lower, people withdraw their cash from the banks and they will hold money with them, because the interest rate is 1%, 2%. After a year, it is worth less to keep money in the saving account. They will withdraw from their accounts and then they will be using the other forms of assets where returns are high, like people will be buying gold, where returns will be higher after a year than the keeping money with the saving accounts in any of the bank. So when an interest rate is falling, people are holding idle money. And when interest rates are higher, people will not be holding idle money, but they will be keeping in those assets where returns are high. Okay. I concluded the money topic from its characteristics and from the functions of money, and till the why do people hold money with them. There are three motives: transactionary, precautionary, and speculative, and they are holding money for these reasons. The most form, this interest is also called the price of money. If interest rate is higher, the opportunity cost of holding idle money will be increasing, because people have to forgive the interest earning. So what do they mean? They will not be holding idle cash, rather they will be saving with the accounts where their earnings are high. All right. So we have concluded our topic of money today, and by our next class, I will be doing economic systems or PPC in our next lessons. And this chapter will be approaching towards its end in our couple of weeks. Okay. So have a nice weekend. Okay. Keep studying and raise questions if you have in our question answering session. Okay. Thank you very much.